my name is Cassie and I am the creator of Pieces of Scrap, and in today's video we are getting ready for my third year at Christmas in Crockett, which is currently 11 days away. I wanted to check in with you guys before I finish my prepping. I've been trying to prep a whole load of things. I think in my last vlog video I shared with you guys this big list that I have here of like market prep makes that I've started prepping. I did bear keychains, bee keychains, tiny turtles. I also did some mini bees in the last video, and currently what I've been working on is prepping both Anchor the Octopus, which if you stuck around to the very end of the last video I posted, you might have seen this beautiful octopus here. I am working on making some of those for market, just big show-stopping pieces that I can share with people and maybe get a purchase or two from. I think that'll be really awesome. So I have that one finished one and I'm working on a second one now. And I also got yarn in from Premier to make a XL Parfait chunky version of it as well, so that I have an even bigger one. And I'm also currently working on capybaras because capybaras were a huge hit at my last market as well. Some of the other things I have on this list are mini chickens, mini Pokemon. Mini Pokemon were my best seller at my last market, so I want to make sure I have plenty of those. I also want to make some no-sew turtles because I can price those at a decent price versus I have sea turtles available, and those I have to price at almost $50 because of how long it takes to make them. But the no-sew turtles are faster makes and they're a little bit smaller, so I think overall those might be in a better price point for people looking for turtles. And overall, last market as well, a huge category of purchases I kept seeing were turtles. If I have time, I also want to make some mushroom popper keychains, some pocket axolotls, pocket Kirby's, no-sew foxes, chunky foxes, some chubby penguins, chubby yetis, dino keychains, emotional support veggies, itty bitty birds, fruit friends keychains, loveys, and I already said capybaras, but that is on my list as well. I want to make a bunch of those things before next market, and we have 11 days to get a lot of those makes done. A lot of those makes are really small things that don't take a lot of time, so I'm excited that I will have plenty of time to make all of these things. The biggest thing that I'm worried about taking a lot of time is just the extra large octopus that I'm working on. I haven't actually started the process of making that one yet, but I definitely need to get that finished soon because that will determine how much time I have left over to make the rest of it. The regular size Anchor the Octopus took me 4.5 hours to make, and I can imagine that an even bigger sized one will probably take me an hour at least more, just because it is a little bit more difficult and tiresome to work with larger yarn and larger sized hooks. So I am not looking forward to that project, but I know I need to get it done fast if I want it done by Christmas on the square. I have a big yarn haul from Premier with the colors in Parfait Chunky XL, or maybe it's just Parfait XL, in the colors that I need for the octopus, the extra large sized octopus. But I have some things I want to show you before that. One being I have this cute little Christmas tree. Obviously he's not really a Christmas tree right now because he doesn't have any of that decorations on him, but this is a pattern that I'm working on getting tested right now when I'm recording this video. By the time this video is out, the pattern is probably already released, so if you're looking for some cute little Christmas market makes, this is a good one. This takes under 45 minutes. I think for me it takes 34 minutes total to get like all of the fixings done on it. You can embroider little ornaments on it, and there's also a no-sew star included in the pattern as well to make these cute little Christmas trees. This one by itself, just without all the decoration, is a pine tree, and it takes about 20 minutes I think just to have the base done, so that's really awesome. I'm really excited because right now this is in the testing phase. I'm currently looking for testers to test the pattern for me when I'm recording this video. By the time you see this video, it's already been tested, it's already been released, and it's available for for free on my Instagram, and it should also be available on my Etsy if you prefer a PDF pattern. In addition to that, I also have this cute little penguin pattern that I've been working on perfecting as well. Before I had officially written up the pattern and created a PDF for the pattern, I didn't have the scarf included, but I felt like he was looking a little bare without any extra decoration to him, so I created a pattern for this scarf as well to put on him, and it is supposed to be removable, but I accidentally threaded my sewing yarn through the front of this penguin's chest, so it is not currently removable, but in the pattern it is removable if you just be careful when sewing. But anyway, I'm gonna get this pattern up and ready to be tested as well pretty soon, just because I wanted to prioritize getting the Christmas focus pattern tested and released first, and then the winter kind of themed pattern, because it's not like solely Christmas, because we're just getting this cute little penguin guy. But this pattern will be needing testers soon, so keep an eye out on my Instagram if you want to apply to be a tester for this pattern. But anyway, I do have some yarn to show you guys from Premier that I ordered. Nearly all of the yarn that I purchased from Premier this time was XL, which is weird for me because I feel like I never buy XL, but this time I have one skein of Parfait Chunky, and it was a color that I think got released pretty recently because I did a different order from Premier Yarns in my last video, and this color was not available from my knowledge when I made that purchase. So this is the new green color called Chartreuse, which is really pretty in person. It looks a little weird on camera. It's looking a little yellow in my viewfinder, but I really love this color and I can't wait to try it out. It's gonna make some cute little froggies, I think, but I'm really excited about this color. I saw it in like an Instagram ad, and I ended up clicking on the ad because I was like, I have never seen that color before from Premier. So this was a nice little surprise for me to add to the cart once I added the rest of this yarn. So the rest of the yarn is Premier Parfait XL. I've got one skein of cream and 2 skeins of this gray color. This is the color Concrete, and this is to make, actually there's one more skein included in this project. It's this skein right here. This is the color Goblin. This color combination here is to make a jumbo sized Totoro for my friend Jenny, who is getting ready to get some Christmas presents ready for Christmas time, and this is one of the Christmas presents this little color combo is going to make. I'm probably not going to share that in this video today because I just wanted to share that I got the colors for that before I actually end up making it. So anyway, yeah, that is for that project. Then for another project that I'm working on that I got a commission for, I got a request for a jumbo-sized capybara for one of my friends named Kelsey. Hi Kelsey, if you're watching. So I got the yarn for that. I'm not even going to use like nearly any of this at all. I'm just going to use it to embroider, but I needed a dark brown to go with the light brown. So we've got light brown and chocolate to make that capybara. And then the rest of this yarn in this yarn order is for the octopus. So the accent color for the bottom of the tentacles is this color right here, which is the color Aquamarine, really pretty like teal color. And then I've got 4 skeins of this, which is the color Sea Glass. And I thought this would be a good color combination because it's like the colors of my logo. And if you didn't watch the last market video and the last vlog video, I mentioned that I'm getting ready to make a extra large Anchor the Octopus using Parfait XL, and I want it to like be a display item that sits on top of my tent so that it draws people to my tent. So hopefully it is big enough to stretch out over my whole tent cover. We will see. If not, I'll have to figure out what I'm gonna do about that, if I'm gonna display it a different way, but I thought this was a really awesome idea from my husband to draw people into the tent, hopefully. But yeah, I've got all the yarn to do that now. I'm gonna try to get a time lapse in at some point in this video of me making this jumbo octopus. It's gonna take a lot of time, so we will see how long that time lapse is, if I'm gonna need to take breaks, if I'm gonna be wearing a whole bunch of different outfits in the time lapse because I need to take breaks, but we will see. I have never made a project this big before, so this is definitely a pretty daunting task for me. But with all that being said, I'm gonna get started on working on some market prep makes the octopus, and any other little things I need to do before the market on the 22nd. Hey guys, so I just wanted to come on here because I just finished this gigantic anchor, the octopus, and he's not as big as I thought he would be, admittedly, but he is still gigantic. I have normal sized anchor for the comparison. Huge size difference. I also was experiencing some gapping because the hook I was using was probably a little bit too big for this yarn, so I added some spots, but also I wanted to add some spots to incorporate this big white spot on his back because I ran out of the main color. So that is why he's got some kind of random spots on him. It looks like I might need to add some on this side. He's looking a little sparse over here and he's looking more normal on the other side, so maybe I'm not totally done. But I do have some things I need to get ready before market tomorrow. I have, as you can see in my background, my tiered shelves have a bunch of emotional support veggies and capybaras and a couple of my Christmas tree boys on there that I need to price for tomorrow. I also have a whole cardboard box on my floor full of things I need to price before tomorrow, and I also have a crate of things to price before tomorrow. All that stuff needs tags, and then we need to load the car tonight, and then we're going to Christmas in Crockett tomorrow. So still very busy day ahead of me, and it's already almost 4 o'clock, 5 minutes to 4 o'clock. So hopefully I can get all that done before the end of the night. If not, I'm gonna have to just like be tagging stuff at the event tomorrow. But anyway, I will check in with you guys later. Good morning, guys. So
I finished up some last minute market prep last night, and I want to show you what I did really quickly before we get headed out for Christmas in Crockett this morning. All right, so I had these capybaras and I made their backpacks and hats last night. So we have 3 medium-sized ones and they're all strawberry, and then all of the largest, which are just 2, are these frog backpacks and hats. Really cute. And then I had enough time last night that I was able to make 2 little mini Charizards, so made all of those. Everything else in here you've already seen, but I just wanted to show you guys that really quick before we leave this morning. Part of my morning routine before events is to run up to the office like I'm doing right now and getting the rest of my stuff. So I've got my tote. This has my camera. There's some extra business cards, safety eyes, my crochet hooks, stuff to tag stuff in there. We've got my yarn and my tripod for my camera. And then I have my old phone, which I use to record stuff at the event, but it needed to charge. And my tablet, which is where I will keep all my transactions. That also needed to charge. So I'm just gonna get these things ready to go. And then I'm gonna get my coffee. So I've already got my husband's coffee. He just drinks his black. My coffee is an iced coffee. Got my pod in here. Pop it in there. Switch to iced coffee and brew. And then I always add caramel syrup, just a tiny bit, and milk. And the grounds that we use are Community Coffee Signature Blend Dark Roast, which is really yummy. My husband likes his coffee really dark. But I'm also making sure that the dogs are fed before we leave. Rhea's actually eating. That's good. She's got this puzzle toy I'm sure that I've shown you guys before. But she's been eating, which is good. And then I just have to kind of puppy guard it because Colt will steal, even though he doesn't quite understand how the puzzle works. Also need to load up our little cooler with our drinks. So I've got 4 waters, and I usually have enough room to put like 1 sparkling water for Noah and I each in the cooler, and then load it up with ice. But I used to take our really big cooler, but we just haven't really needed that many drinks recently, especially since we don't really take dogs with us, so we don't have to worry about giving them water while we're at the event. So yeah, here is the little cooler. I already got some ice in here because I loaded up my coffee with too much ice this morning. And just fitting everything in here best I can. And then we gotta top it off with ice. My coffee just finished. I don't know if I said that it's iced, but I fill my thermos halfway up with ice. And I do iced. I guess I did say that it was iced because I must have had to when I select the setting on the coffee maker. But yeah, I do iced coffee, iced caramel latte. Whole milk. Just a little bit. I'm gonna do a quick stir. It's a very basic coffee, but I do enjoy it a lot. Especially since I can't really afford to go to a coffee shop every morning, but I imagine we might be getting some coffee today while we're at the event. Maybe if we're a little tired, but that is all I had to do this morning. Feed the dogs, get the things from upstairs, fill up the cooler. Now I'm just waiting on Noah, and then we can get going. It's 7:50. So I think he might have lost track of time because this is when we'd say we'd leave. We're all loaded up. It was put in one final thing in the back, but it's not as cramped in the back seat as normal. But I'm excited to get to the event, to get set up. See you guys there.
morning, y'all. I'm set up. Everything went according to how we were expecting this morning, which is awesome for an event. I'm trying to see what time it is. It is currently 9:38. The event officially starts at 10 o'clock. A lot of people are circulating right now, but I think it's like mostly other vendors and probably people who came to help other people set up this morning. But it's looking really good. I got Anchor set up on one of the tent corners, and I also have some little Christmas light crocheted items hanging from the tent as well, so I think it looks really cool. But I'm really excited for today, and it's a beautiful day. It's not supposed to rain or anything. It's supposed to be like in the high 60s, low 70s all day, so I'm really excited. Hey friends, so it is Sunday, the day after Christmas in Crockett, and I have all my inventory up here on the landing behind me. There is one empty box out of all of the boxes that I brought, so that's always a plus. Another one of the boxes I brought only has Anchor in it, the extra large Anchor, so that's also a plus. But everything else has stuff in it, and I need to go through it and sort it today, do my reconciliation, and I thought I would kind of show you guys how I do that before we get into like the market recap results. Just in case you're trying to figure out the best way to reconcile your inventory and how to like problem solve and make sure you're keeping like all of your checks and balances so that everything is accurate. So anyway, let's go ahead and get started doing. All right, I'm sitting at my desk because the first step is I have this inventory list printed out already. It's kind of hard for you guys to read it just because not only is the text small, but I also had to print in blue because my black ink was running out and I didn't think I had enough to print all of these pages of inventory the day that I made it. But anyway, these have product name, there's a price, the before market number, and then after market number, and sold. And I have a line item for every item in my inventory, including like variations, and it just follows the same setup that I have for Square. So every item in Square has its own line in here. And then after all of that, I also have a bestsellers page, and it just has product name, quantity sold, and then 1 through 6. And then I also have a losses. And then behind that, I have another page. This is just for mainly scripting for video, but I have a results page that tells me what the gross sales were, net sales, and then like the different fees are broken down underneath that, and then percentages, which just tells me how much in each category of payment type. So we have cash, Cash App, Square, Venmo, Zelle, and then I can also calculate the percentages this way. I don't think I include the percentages for every video that I do, but sometimes I find it really interesting to share that. But anyway, right now what I'm gonna do is every market I have the inventory list. I put down the before market number in the first column before the event, and then after the event I go ahead and I count all of the inventory that I have. And then when I do that, I also just need to make a new column in here that just tells me where the inventory is located. But recently what I've just been doing is in this like little white space that I have after the product name for all of them, I just like jot down what container that inventory is stored in case anybody between this event and the next event that I do wants something specific and they reach out to me in like a text message or on Etsy, YouTube, Instagram, any of those things, and they just want to order something. That way I know exactly where it is and I don't have to go digging through like every single bin. What I'm going to do before I go ahead and start taking my inventory out and sorting it and then counting everything is to make my life a little bit easier so that I don't have to look through the list one by one. I like to write down the range of alphabet that is on each page. So for example, at the top of this page, we have Anchor the octopus, and at the bottom of the page is Bella the butterfly. And so what I'm going to do is I write down A at the top, and I put a dash, and the last word on the list on this page is Bella. So just to make my life a little easier, I write A through Bella on this page so that when I'm quickly trying to figure out where a product is, I don't have to scan like the entire page. It makes it a little bit easier for me. But what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to do that for every single page here. And then after that, I'll start sorting my inventory out, taking everything out. I usually pile it up on the carpet, but you will see that very soon. Anyway, I'm going to do this first, and then I'll check in with you guys after I'm finished doing this. All right, now that I've finished that, I have all of them here. They're all labeled. I have a pencil and I have a clipboard, and I actually don't really use this as a clipboard because it's got like this, it's kind of like a folder clipboard, but it's easier for me to just have it out just so that I have something hard to write on. I'm out in my hallway because that's where all my inventory is, but I'm about to just go through each one of these boxes. For example, bags box, which is right here. This will probably be the first one, and it's really easy because none of that inventory gets like mixed up, but the rest of it does get mixed up because it's not in the same box every time. So I will start with the bags box, and then after that, I'm gonna go ahead and spread out all the boxes, start emptying them and sorting things, and then I will start checking off things on my list and counting inventory. All right, so the first box is done. I've counted everything that's in here, put it back, and checked it off on my inventory list. So let me quickly show you what that looks like. So for example, for my Daisy Granny Square bag, which I only have one of, I've written down what box it's stored in, which is the bags box. It just has bags written in Sharpie on the box. That's how I know what box it is. And then for aftermarket, I still have one, and that means 0 sold. And I have a little check mark beside that to let me know that that checks out and that makes sense. I do have one thing that doesn't make sense right now, and it's just that my flower purses, it says I should have 8. I don't remember selling one of those, so I just went ahead and circled it. Once I think about it a little, I know that I do have a flower purse that doesn't have a strap right now, and I think I still have that counted in my inventory, so I should have 8 total. I'm just gonna have to double check that I still have that flower purse in my possession, and then once I figure that out and just make sure that that is correct, I will put a little check mark on there. And also, once I do go through my Square inventory and everything, and I check how many things sold of each item that I did sell, I will double check and make sure I didn't sell one and just forgot about it. But that's a pretty significant item in my inventory that I would remember selling, I think. So that is why I circled that number, and that's why I'm gonna make sure I double check that before all of this is finished. But anyway, I'm gonna show you what I do with this box after I'm done with it. All right, so I'm going into my inventory closet. I have these inventory items in here right now, but it's basically empty because most of my inventory is out there. But once I finish reconciling something and the box is done, I don't have to add anything anymore. I always put it in here because that way I know that it's finished, don't have to double check anything, and I can also get it out of my way because doing inventory takes up a lot of space. I end up sitting on the floor, spreading everything out. The boxes end up everywhere because I have like lots of open boxes trying to sort things out, figure out where things should go. And I think the last time that I did this, I did it in a much
nicer fashion where I took everything out, and then to sort things, I just basically did it alphabetically on my list in a way that it made sense to me. That way it was just like easier to keep track of all of those things. So I'm gonna go ahead and empty the boxes now, get everything sorted, and then start sorting things and checking things off on my list. All right, as you can see behind me, I have everything out except for a few boxes, except this box, which has loveys in it. This is where they're gonna stay, but I have them sorted in different piles because they're different inventory items that I need to reconcile before I put them in here. Then this box, this has mushrooms and chickens in it. Those will stay there. Then we have this empty one, that empty one, that empty one. But the way that I kind of have this organized is things are grouped together if they are a single line item. So like everything in this pile right here, those are called splooting animals in my square inventory. Then over here we have sock monkeys of different sizes. There's different line items for each of those, but it'll be easier to find them if they're all in the same spot. We also have multiples of things. So there's like these onions, these chicks in hats. We have snoozing geese, capybaras. There's animal buddies here. There's 3 of them. And I also just have like some different axolotls. There's pandas, turtles and their turtle shells. And then in the office, we've got even more chaos. This room mostly has stuff that is individual items that I only have one of, but there's a handful of things that I don't. I'm going to save these 2 for last because they take me just about as much time as the rest of this does because there's just so much in these 2 boxes. This is my keychains box, and then this is the smaller, less pricey items in this box, and there's a lot of them. But in here we've got like 4th winged dragons are grouped together. I have 2 of those Margot the Mouses on top of each other, 3 foxes in a pile. We have these Christmas elves. There's 2 hippos here. All over here are all the desk buddies, the flower desk buddies of different sizes. We've got some reindeer, baby dragons, sloths. All of those are different items in my inventory list, but they're all right next to each other in the list. We also have these 2 sloths over here. But everything else is just kind of on the floor flat so I can see it. But the next step is to sort it all and check it off my inventory list. Of course, skipping the items that are in that box and that box. And then I also have this box, which is really easy because those are just mystery boxes and crochet kits. And then I have extra large Anchor hiding away in this box where he's going to stay. But now is time for me to sort and check things off the list. Hey y'all, so I have my reconciliation list all filled out. I have another thing to do now, and that is to reconcile my transaction list, and then after that I can finally finish reconciling my inventory. So right now all I have is just the aftermarket number filled out, and I have, if there's a discrepancy between how many plushies I had before market and after market, if that number changed, I have the sold column empty. So now what I'm about to do is I have Square up on one monitor and I have my Excel sheet up on the other monitor. I will also pull out my cash box behind me because I also collected tags for just about everything that I sold, but I also have this little notebook here that I brought with me to market to write down if there were any tags that I didn't collect, just so that I can double and triple check my work here. So there were only 3 items here at the bottom here in the black pen that I didn't collect a tag for, and it looks like there's one on here that I didn't record in Square either, so I need to record that in Square. I need to double check that all of my inventory items, the item count that I have in Square matches up with my inventory list that I have printed out in front of me. I'm also going to go through both transaction lists on my Excel sheet and on Square, and I have different colored pens here. I'll pick 2 different colors, and what I like to do at this point is when I'm looking at those transaction lists, I will pick a color for Square and I will tally probably in the bigger column that has the product name, how many times that item has sold, and I'll go through the whole list, and I will do that for both in 2 different colors, and that way if one doesn't line up, I can fall back to the tags that I collected and make sure that I did sell that item, or if I didn't sell the item, I can account for that as well. So that is what I'm doing now, and then after that, reconciliation will be finished for the inventory. I will also open up my cash box and count all of the money that's in there and figure out how much cash I have. That will also help me determine if there were any sales that didn't get recorded, things of that nature. So yeah, this is the most boring part because it's just looking at a lot of numbers, looking at a lot of line items, and that's not very fun to do. But this is the point at which I can figure out if anything was stolen, if I forgot to record a transaction, and it just keeps my stuff in check and makes sure that I recorded absolutely everything. That's why I have so many different ways of keeping track of my inventory sales. So anyway, I'm going to get started doing that, and I will check in with you guys later when the reconciliation is complete. Hey y'all, so it has been over a week since Christmas in Crockett. Admittedly, I've had a lot going on and I really needed a break from filming for a little bit. So I'm ready to give you guys my recap now. I have all of my notes finished. I finished my reconciliation and I figured out how much money I made, if I lost anything, my best sellers, and my net sales. And I'm really excited to share that with you guys. So starting off, I'm going to talk about my best sellers. First off, I have some honorable mentions I want to talk about. These are things that I don't think necessarily placed in the best sellers list, but there were some running themes similar to the Peanut Festival, how there were some plushies in like a specific category that were getting a lot of attention, and I noticed that at this event as well. Starting off with frogs, I noticed a lot of different frog keychains, which is pretty typical. People really like frogs, but my frog keychains, leggy froggies. I also had Florence the Frog sell, which was a plushie from my Teresa's Crochet Shop amigurumi plushies review video that sold. So just a running theme of just frogs in general still doing really well. I'm always really surprised when leggy froggies are still selling. Those are something that I feel like everybody stocks at markets, and they're still doing really well. Something that surprised me about that category though was that chubby froggies weren't selling for some reason. It might have just been the way that I displayed them. I displayed them a little differently than normal. And I think since the past 2 markets, I've increased the price of those chubby froggies from $8 to $10 just because of the size
category. A lot of my smaller things are $8, and those are just a little bit too big to be in the $8 range. So that is why I increased the price of those. I also noticed that bunnies were really popular, specifically some of the plushies that I noticed getting a lot of attention were I had a sweetheart bunny, a medium-sized bunny, and then a bunny from the No Sew mini amigurumi book that is by Jenna Tattoo, Crochet by Jenna. That sold as well, and they're in that range of items in my inventory. That is all one line item, but it's a bunch of different animals. Still running theme there of just bunnies doing better, so I'm going to try to stock some bunnies before next market as well. And then a new theme that I hadn't noticed before was elephants. Elephants are getting really popular. I had a lot of people specifically come to my booth and ask if I had any elephants, and luckily I do have some stocked. Especially there was Eli the elephant from the Teresa's Crochet Shop book review I did in the last video. There's also been like some mini elephants that I reviewed in 2 different pattern review videos. So those have been along in my inventory for over a year now, and one of those mini elephants sold. I also had Eli sell, of course, and then there were just lots of questions about that in particular, which was really cool. And then finally, something that carried through from the Peanut Festival to this one was capybaras were really, really popular. Lots of people asking about capybaras. I prepped some of those capybaras in hats that I had from the last market that sold out, and I made 3 with strawberry hats and backpacks and 2 that were slightly bigger, and they had frog hats and backpacks, and the ones that had the frog accessories sold out, and I still have 2 of the strawberry ones left. So overall, those were selling pretty well as well, and there were a lot of people asking if I had more like different types of capybaras, so that's something to keep an eye on as well. So moving on from honorable mentions, I have 4th, 3rd, 2nd, and 1st place today to share with you. 4th and 3rd place are both ties. In 4th place, I had 2 items that were tied. 3 of each of these items sold. So first off, we have flower pins. These I price at $2 each, and I have just like a bunch of different colored flowers in here. They're left over from when I made flower purses. And then I also have bee keychains. These are priced at $5, and 3 of these sold as well, so that is really awesome. Bees are really consistent sellers for just about everyone, I think, and having a keychain sized one is something that is kind of unique to my booth as well, and that's something that you might want to consider if you're thinking about prepping some bees. Then in 3rd place, I actually had 3 different inventory items tie, and one of those items sold completely out, so I don't even have any to show you, so I'll have to pop a picture up on screen for those. That was the itty bitty birds. I was selling those for $8 each, and 4 sold. Then I have Tilly the Tiny Turtle. 4 of these sold as well, and I'm selling them for $8 each. I've noticed also that a lot of like the more girly colors are the ones that sold. I had like a bright pink shelled one, and then there was one that had like a variated orange shell. None of those are left. I just have like the more boy-friendly colors, I think, here. So I'll have to prep some more of like the girly colors for those, but 4 of those sold. And lastly, in 3rd place, I had 4 chicken keychains sell, and most of what I have left of my chicken keychain stock is all of these scrap chickens, which I feel like people don't like as much, unfortunately. It's a good way to get rid of scrap yarn, but I feel like people think that they just look kind of weird, and they don't, it's not like immediately obvious that they're chickens maybe. So I need to make more solid colored chickens before my next market, just so that I have less loud looking ones. I think somebody once called them psychedelic as well. I'm sure that's probably something that not a lot of people enjoy. Then in 2nd place, I had something that didn't tie, and it was actually a surprise for me because it was my scrunchies. I had, I think, 5 of these sell. Yeah, 5 total scrunchies sold, and they were actually split between 2 people, so the people who bought them bought multiple. So I also noticed that I have like a lot of yellows left, a white in here, and then my 2 like older scrunchies that aren't with like the velvet yarn that I use now. So I'm gonna have to make some more in different colors before next market, just so that I have some stocked, but I'm not super pressed to do that because these usually don't do well, but it's nice to have them around for if somebody's at the event and the wind's blowing and they need to tie their hair up really fast, so it's nice to have these. But that is what we had for second place. Then in first place, we have carryover from my last event. It was my mini Pokemon again. I sold all of these for $12 and I had 16 to start at the start of the event. I was actually making one as I was at the event as well. So whenever I had free time, I was making this Jolteon in particular, but I was selling these for $12 each. I also had mini Charizards, and those are completely sold out. I didn't include that in the count here. This is just for this orientation, like the sit-up little Pokemon that all look like this instead of the mini Charizards. But I thought I'd mention that too, kind of like as a mini honorable mention, just because that sold out this event and that sold out last event as well, and it's kind of in the same category. But I really like these just because they are really eye-catching to people. Whenever people notice the Pokemon in my booth, they like go straight for it and they try to pick out their favorite Pokemon of the bunch. And the nice thing about this is a lot of my items that are around this size are like $8 or $10, but I sell these for $12. So that's a bit of a markup from this normal size, but people are willing to pay that. And they also like browsing through all the different Pokemon I have and trying to figure out which one they're gonna buy. So right now what I'm doing when I'm not recording and getting videos ready right now is I'm prepping a bunch of Pokemon. I'm trying to get 2 of each of them before my next market just because they are the best seller, and I should probably put more eggs in that basket because I seem to sell so many of them. So anyway, I sold 9 of those. I'm not sure if I said that. Anyway, those are our best sellers. Hopefully you found something in that list that you haven't sold before and you can try out in a future market. I hope that's helpful for you. But anyway, let's go ahead and talk about losses. At this event, I was really excited to find out that I did not have any losses. Nobody stole anything. I didn't lose any of my inventory. I did have a little bit of a scare when doing my reconciliation because there was a few things that just didn't line up with my transaction list, the 2 different ones that I have. And what ended up happening is there were 1 or 2 items that I had misrepresented the before inventory count in my reconciliation list here. And what I was able to do, because I keep these after each event, was I checked my last reconciliation list and I was able to find out that my end inventory for after the last market, that number lined up with what I should have. So I was able to figure out with that I didn't actually lose any inventory. It was just a miscount, which was really awesome. One of the things I was a little worried about getting stolen was a mini jellyfish, because those are typically really good sellers and I sell those for $15. So that would have been a little bit disappointing to lose one of those, but it ended up just being something I miscounted before the event. Another one of those was my lovies, which those are probably harder to steal because they're bigger items, and I sell each of those for $40 each. I also had the beginning inventory amount for that product miscounted as well, and I was able to figure out that there wasn't anything weird going on there. I just wrote down the wrong number. So that was really encouraging that I didn't have any losses for this event. So now that I finished talking about losses and best sellers, let's get into the money that I made from this event. I always like to break down my gross sales amount and all the fees and costs I have to pay to get to my net sales, just so that you guys can see like transparently what all goes into that. And I know a lot of people, when they go to these events, they don't break it down as much, and so you see a big number and you're like, oh, I made all this money, but actually you kind of have to take apart like taxes, square fees. Square fees are more transparent and people usually talk about that, but booth fee is usually in there as well, but you don't think about like the cost of the materials you had to use to make each product that sold and stuff like that. So I like to break that down for you guys. So the gross sales for my event was $1,380. The taxes I had to pay on the items that sold is expected to be $114.94. And the reason I say expected to be is just because it's kind of calculated in my spreadsheet, and depending on where I am, like different cities have different sales tax rates, and my spreadsheet is estimating like the highest possible tax fee there. So that's why I say expected. And then for Square card fees, that's $15.98. My booth fee for the event was $100. and the cost of materials for things that sold was $117.72. So all of that added together puts me at $348.64 in costs for this event. And then when we take that out of my gross sales amount, the net sales for this event are $1,031.36. So that's a really good number for this event. Typically I make around that for Christmas in Crockett and Peanut Festival. They're really similar numbers, similar amount of people go to these events. There's a lot more vendors at this event, and sometimes the attendance fluctuates, but a lot of people from a lot of different areas in East Texas come to Christmas in Crockett. But the thing that kind of makes that different and why the sales amount is the same even though the attendance might be higher at Christmas in Crockett is that there's usually a lot more crochet plushie competition at this event than there is at the Peanut Festival. Something I try to do to differentiate myself among the different competition is just having a lot of variety, and with the nature of my channel being like reviewing different free patterns all the time and things like that, it allows me to have a lot of one-of-a-kind unique inventory items that other people might not sell. Another thing that I've been told by friends, my husband, other people who come up to me and talk about different sellers at these events is that other sellers typically sell a lot of like the same couple of items and they don't have as much variety as I do. So those are all things that factor into how I deal with competition at these events. So now we're going to look at the different payment types that I accepted at this event and how they kind of battle it out in a pie chart. So we have cash sales were $830, and that was about 60% of my sales. At these events, I also offer Cash App as a payment type, and I made $75 using Cash App, which is 5% of the pie chart. Then in Square sales, which is how I take all of my card transactions, I made $460 gross. That's before you take out all of those card fees. That's 33% of the sales from this event. And then Venmo sales were $15, and that's just 2%. I didn't have any Zelle transactions for this event. Something else I quickly wanted to mention just about reconciliation a little bit is on my little sheet here, I have like lots of different colored writing, and it's just because depending on like what transaction list I'm looking at, things might differ. So for example, cash sales, in my cash box, the amount of money I had difference after the event was $830, so I'm going off of that number for the percentages because I know for sure that I got $830 cash. That was the difference between when I started before the event and after the event, so that is set in stone. However, in Square, for my recorded transactions that were cash, I only put down $820, which means I missed a transaction somewhere that was cash. I forgot to record it. And in Excel, I had $858 recorded for cash transactions, which just means it's possible that I wrote down like a transaction that was actually supposed to be a Square transaction as a cash transaction, and that is where that gets mixed up a little bit. So I always go off of the amount of cash that I actually have, and that's the same with like Square, Cash App, Venmo, Zelle, those things. I go off of the number that I actually have recorded payment. So with Cash App and Zelle and Venmo, that's all really easy because it just gets sent to you and you have a number waiting for you when you withdraw the money. But for Square, same kind of deal. It's going to tell you what you took in card payments. Of course, you might have some issues where like offline payments, you might not have actually had a successful transaction sometimes. Sometimes the card gets declined and you might not know because it's an offline transaction. But I know for sure I didn't have any offline transactions, so I know that that number is correct as well. But I just wanted to quickly mention that in case you're still wondering kind of like how reconciliation works out. I know I didn't share any footage of me actually like going through all the money and the transaction list. I know just because that's kind of boring and I'm not sure if that would be super helpful, but I'm sure that sharing that little tidbit of information might be helpful for some of you guys if you're wondering about how I do that. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. It was a really successful market. I really enjoyed it. It was a beautiful day and was really happy that we didn't have like
really cold weather or rainy weather. Sometimes this event has been rainy in the past, and other times it's been like really hot and people don't really want to come out when it's really hot. But it was a perfect day for this event and I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed talking to lots of different people and kind of thinking about some of the things people were talking about to kind of inspire me to make things for future events so that I have what customers are asking for. So all of that being said, I enjoyed doing this video for you guys, and I enjoyed preparing for the market and having people compliment me about Anchor the octopus, the extra large one that was on top of my tent. I didn't mention that, but lots of people were asking me how long that took me and how much it was, and people were taking pictures of it. All of that was really awesome, so I'm really glad that we were able to get that done before the event, even though it kind of took away from some time I could have spent doing market prep of different items, but I feel like that really also helped me stand out among the other vendors. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and I will see you guys next week in a live stream if you want to tune in. I've been doing every other week where I don't have a video upload. My normal upload time, I've just been doing a live stream instead. So if you want to tune in, you can tune in here on my channel at 11:30 Central Time, and I will see you guys there. Bye.